Well, everyone, thank
Yeah.
you for joining us again. This wonderful, wonderful singer is Shalaine Stebner. We had her on a program before, so this is your second time on here.
Yes.
Um, she is incredibly talented, and she's an award winning singer songwriter from Central Alberta,
Yeah.
and known for her unique blend of 80s, 90s, and 2000s country music. Shalaine has captivated audiences with her heartfelt lyrics and dynamic performances. I didn't think you were pretty dynamic, Shalaine. Just kidding.
What's
With a
your definition
career,
of dynamic?
I know. With a career that began, oh yeah, you look under dynamic in the dictionary, and there's your photo.
Yeah, there I am.
So Shalaine has captivated audiences with her heartfelt lyrics and dynamic performances. With a career that began in her mid 30s, she is a testament to the idea that it's never too late to follow your dreams. Now, Shalaine, your journey from singing in your dad's band to winning the 2024 Songwriter of the Year award last year is truly inspiring. So, everyone, we're going to dive into her story, learn more about the woman behind the music. And yeah, so can you, to people who don't know who you are, can you give us a little bit of breakdown of your background of who you are, where
Yeah,
you started, and what brought you here?
absolutely. So I have always sang from, I'm sure that I came out of the womb singing. And so singing has always been something that's been in my heart, and always been very much, like when you think of when you were little and they're like, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? And sometimes we're like, I want to be a fireman or police or whatever. I've always been, I want to be a singer. I want to be on stage. This has always been a goal of mine. And so yeah, so my dad always was in a band. He was my drummer for a few years as well. But before, when I was little, he always had a band with his buddies, and it was so cool to get to go to the shows with them and watch them enjoying and entertaining. And I still am very good friends with the lead of their band, and so I get to, we get together every once in a while and jam. But seeing stuff like that at such a young age really inspired me to just like it's totally doable, right? And so yeah, so then I went through school, doing drama and musical theater, dance, literally anything that could get me on the stage, and in front of people. What It didn't matter how many people I was in front of, but just getting me on the stage was my goal in general. And then after school, I went to school for hairdressing, so I own a salon in our little town. And during that period between finishing school and then starting music, it always felt like there was something that I wasn't quite completing, right? Like there was something that I needed to do, but I didn't quite know what I needed to do. And I'd always, played music, but it was never like playing music. I had always sang along to karaoke CDs and stuff like that, because that I didn't know how to play any instruments. And so when I was 22, my I got my grandfather's old guitar, and it was huge. And I'm not very tall. I'm 5'2" on a good day, and this guitar was like this jumbo guitar. And so I taught myself how to play on this giant thing. And so then after I learned how to play, and I didn't take any fancy classes or anything like that. I just found the songs that I wanted to play, and I was like, I'm gonna learn how to play this. No, there's nobody that can stop me. And then yeah, so then I started teaching myself how to play songs and building that repertoire of music. And then in my mid 30s, it was just like, it's now or never, right? And opportunity kind of gave itself into our hands in the way through COVID. And I know that sounds really silly to relate it as a great opportunity, but during COVID, my husband had lost his job, and so it was really difficult for him. And so in his darkest times, when I couldn't help him, I kind of took that pain and those feelings, and I started writing songs. And I never ever really felt like I was a great songwriter. But I just kind of wrote what was in my heart. And so I wrote this one song. It's called As Strong as Your Daddy. And I wrote it as a love song to my son about about men's mental health. And, there's always this stigma of you have to be strong, you have to be
Mhm.
strong, and you don't have to be strong. And so the whole premise of it was that my husband had completed suicide. And so I was writing the song to my son about how you don't have to be as strong as your daddy,
Mhm.
because you can talk about all of the stuff and things. And so then I posted it on Facebook, which is the best kind of advertising because it's free. And it kind of the amount of people that I reached in such a short amount of time was really quite phenomenal. And so then after that, it was like, you know what? I feel like this is kind of a really great entrance for me to take things a little bit more seriously. And I will 100% stand on my soapbox and say, like, it's never too late to follow your dreams. If you want to do something, if you at nighttime when you close your eyes and you have that thought in your head, like, man, I wish I could do this. Like, the only person holding you back is yourself. So I took all of those feelings and aspirations and goals, and I started writing more and more songs. And I found a recording studio close to me that was within my budget, and so we started recording, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. You get that itch, like you start writing more, and then you want to record more, and then you want to write more, and then you want to record more. Um, and then last year, I had joined the International Singer-songwriters Association, and I was lucky enough to be nominated in three categories. And so I went down, and I was emerging artist, rising star, and songwriter. And never in my wildest dreams did I think that I could ever win something for my songwriting, because it's always been, oh, you're such a great singer, you're such a great singer. But never once did I ever have the confidence of thinking that my songwriting could also bring in somebody could bring me in accolades for it. And so when I got the bronze award for songwriting, it just kind of was a very good kick in the pants to say, like, hey, somebody that you don't know, a whole group of people that you don't know, think that you're doing a good job. And that little pat on the back was just really it almost kicked me out of the imposter syndrome that I was feeling, and just reminded me that, like, you're on the right path, and where that path goes, I don't know. But today this is where we're at. And so I have just continued writing and playing more, and we gig a lot during the summer with my band. And then also this year I've been nominated for 7 awards at the ISSA, which is amazing. I just, like, blows my mind.
Mhm.
Because again, like, you don't you like musician, song of the year, vocalist of the year. There's all of these things that you don't really like. Do I actually fit into this category, right? Because there's that little voice inside your ego is saying, like,
Mhm.
you're probably not going to win anything, right? Like, it was a mistake, right? um so yeah, so then that's where we're at. That's where we're at today.
That is awesome. I love that story, Shalane. That's amazing. So I know you said you started playing in your dad's band, or he started out playing your band. Uh, it was called the Old Fart Band. So mostly
That was
mostly
my
retired musicians that played at seniors' homes and hospitals.
yeah.
But what exactly did they teach you about music, giving you the confidence to get up and play for yourself?
Well, I think that, like, I mean, the one of the coolest things about playing with people that are so seasoned, and this is something that I like to talk to people that are just coming into the music scene, is like, you can practice in your basement all you want, but the real magic happens when you get in front of people. You don't know what's going to happen. Like, maybe, I mean, I play in bars a lot, so, like, what is there a fight over there? Are you going to completely stop your set, or are we going to keep going? You messed up a word, what are you going to do about it, right? And so when you're in your basement playing along, you can stop and start again, and it's no big deal. But you have to figure out how to roll with the punches, and you have to make mistakes. And I think that that is something that was really, really important that they taught me, was that, like, mistakes are going to happen every day. It's totally fine. Like, what are you going to do about about it. But then the other really important thing that they taught me was about giving back and connecting. And so I love going in and playing the gigs that are in old folks homes, or places where people really truly appreciate the music. And also, um it's such a magical experience when you're sitting in a room with a bunch of people who have brain injuries of
Mm.
whatever extent, whether it's dementia or an accident or whatever, and they're nonverbal, non whatever, and they're singing along to a song that you're playing. Like it is something that is so magical. And so they taught me that that is the most important thing, is connecting and giving back to the community, because in the long run, I would not have anything if people didn't listen to my music. I would still make music for sure, but it would cost me a lot more because if I'm not getting anything back, then it's just going to be an expense. But that connection and building those relationships with people, that's why we do music, right? That is the goal. And it's not to be rich and famous. It's not to have billions of dollars and have a huge house and with more rooms than I can sleep in. And the goal is to make music for connecting with people. And so that was the biggest thing that they drilled in to me, is that, like, the chances of us becoming millionaires and being at a Carrie Underwood level are very
Mm.
slim, right? There's billions of musicians out there, and so the fact that there's maybe a group of 10 who are doing really great, versus the other billion that are not, I'm probably not going to make it into that $1 billion area, but that's not why I'm doing it, right? I'm doing it because I just love music and I love connecting with people. So that was one of probably my favorite things that they taught me, about music, was just to remember to check yourself. And I when I do gigs, I always, like, there's three things that I think about, like, is my heart in it? Is it good for my pocketbook, or is it good for exposure? And out of those three, whatever percentage I give, as long as it's more than 50%, then you do it, right? So it could be not good for your pocketbook at all. It could be a free show. But if your heart is in it and it's great exposure, you do it, right? It's not, and sometimes there are ones where the money is great, so that's the main reason why we do it. But for the most part, it's, you have to be driven in your heart. You have to want to do it. And so, yeah, so they definitely, lit that fire and reminded me that that was the most important part of music.
I know, Shalaine. And when you talk about working, going there to play music for the Alzheimer's and people with dementia and other brain injuries, music heals. I remember I
Mhm.
was watching this video, and there's an elderly 98-year-old Alzheimer's patient who used to be a world renowned tenor. And there was a soprano sitting with him. She started singing Ave Maria, and he followed suit. I've
Mhm.
seen that many times where music
Mhm.
just brings everyone out.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
amazing.
how many places do you go, like, whether it's a senior's home or in a dementia ward or whatever, there's always a piano in the corner. and
I
and
know,
it's
yes,
and it's
exactly.
not necessarily the people that are working there that play. Sometimes you'll have somebody who doesn't know what day, what year it is, but if you sit them in front of that piano, they can play the most amazing music and have no recollection of it, right? But it just music is something that is so deeply ingrained in our souls, and it's so important to make sure that we remember, where it belongs.
Yeah, I know that you had an upbringing in Central Alberta, but do you think if you were brought up anywhere else that it would have influenced your music?
I mean, I do think that we are always influenced by where we're at, and what we're around, and especially like what our parents do. I mean, there's lots of families that I know that, like, the dad likes hockey, so then the children love hockey, and so I think that it definitely helped that I'm in a very rural, very countrified area, so then it was easy for me to play country music, because that's just the way that it's always been. But I definitely, I'm not sure where I could have gone that would have changed that for me, just because I'm such a country bumpkin, you know. I think that even if I grew up in the middle of a city in Edmonton or Calgary even, maybe Toronto, I still think that the music scenes are it's so versatile, right? And there's so many genres that are crossing borders. So you can have people that are regularly pop that kind of enter into a little bit of a different era. So I guess I don't know if I'm really answering your question right, but I don't think that it would have mattered where I was at um, physically, because I'm just so very very country.
Yeah, even though mentioned how you got your first guitar.
Hmm.
You imagine if it was a guitar, but it was something else like a flute, or you would have been playing the flute by now, or maybe you. Do you think the guitar is something you were actually reaching out to play? Guitar wasn't like violin or anything.
Yeah, I definitely I mean I have a mandolin. I have
Mm.
other instruments as well. I have a banjo and I can't play it. But definitely not any way shape or form would I have done anything other than a guitar. I don't think.
Yeah. I love your new song, One Dry Bar, which just, I think it
Mhm.
came out this month or a couple months
It came
ago
out in March, yeah.
in
The end
March.
of
It's
March. Yeah.
really great song. Can you share the story behind that one and what inspired it?
Yeah, absolutely. So One Dive Bar is just one of those fun songs where um you know, you think of like those musty old bars that have been open for like hundreds of years kind of thing, and you know the carpet has never been changed, which is there's been spills on there and whatever, and there's always that one person when you go, there's always going to be that one person there, and as much as you say like, no, I'm not going, I don't need to see them, you always end up going, right? And so it's just that pull that brings you back to the to where you were to where you don't necessarily want to go but where you need to go. So I don't think that there was necessarily a story that was involved or connected to this song just in general. It was just one of those things where I wanted to pay homage to the bar that, you know, we did all of our karaokeing in when we were 18, and you know, just that thing, that one place that is still going nowadays, but it's yeah, it was just kind of, it was just something that was fun, that was always that little cheeky kind of a song that you wanted to play.
Usually, a lot of the um, songs that other musicians write, according to yourself, is based on an experience. So you're saying One Dive Bar has nothing to do with a personal life experience that you went?
No.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
her theory blue was thrown out the window. No, but serious, some of
No,
them do. Like,
I mean, the cool thing about music writing and songwriting and whatever is that you can take experiences that are not yours, or we can just make up a totally different scenario and write a song about it, right? It doesn't have to be a personal experience. I'm writing a song with one of my friends, and we're gonna do a duet, and it's a guy and a girl, and I was like, do we want to like we have to develop this story, and so we're kind of like, it's kind of a funny kind of like a first date kind of thing that goes awful, right? But I've never had a first date that was awful, right? So you kind of get to like build this story that you think that people will be able to relate to. And a lot of times too, it's very easy to go to the internet and you know, post on my page and say like, hey guys, tell me about your worst first date, and then people will give you all these awful stories, and it's really easy to take something like that and kind of flip it into a song. And so it doesn't have to be a story about me necessarily, but I'm sure that somebody can relate to that. I mean, there's lots of movies about the same type of scenario as One Dive Bar, right? Like the guy is the bartender and the girl just keeps going back and, you know, hooking up with him or whatever the case may be. But you know, there's so much content out there that you can kind of pull from and create these fun stories and scenarios.
Yeah. Um, so that songwriting process for One Dive Bar, did you start with the lyrics? Did you start with the melody? And why did you call it One Dive Bar? Why not something else?
Well, I definitely I'm more I start with lyrics most of the time. I don't usually start with a melody. And the thing that kept going through my head was, so in the chorus it's 6 shots of whiskey, 5 minutes on the guitar, four grazing hands, three seats in the back of the car, two lonely hearts and one dive bar, right? And so
Yeah.
that going down, the countdown in numbers was something that I really wanted to play around with. And so you kind of like set all the numbers aside, and you put like a dash, like one dash, two dash, and you think like, okay, what number would could we use to develop this story? What
Hmm.
relates with two? What relates with three? And so it was kind of a fun one to develop and come together, but it also came together very easily. Sometimes I do feel like we get a little bit of a download from wherever whatever you believe in, kind of like is like, here you go, here's a gift, and all of a sudden all of these this idea comes into your brain, and you get to write it down on paper. And sometimes it doesn't quite work that easily, but for One Dive Bar, it definitely worked out very well.
So, what do you feel about love songs? Like, uh, let's say your ex's name was Richard, and you were in love with him, and you did everything for him, and suddenly he became your ex. What about the
Mhm.
song you wrote for him? What happens to that?
I mean, I think that there is a time and a place for everything, right? And I think that in general, we as musicians have to be very we kind of have to cover all things, right? Because if you want to appeal to different people, um then you have to make sure that you kind of cover all the bases. So I do have a song about a love, like a love that went wrong. It's and that one is kind of fun, where it's like we oh gosh, it's like the fairy tale that just wasn't supposed to be. So if you were to call me and tell me that you wanted me back, I as much as my heart wants to say yes, I'm gonna say no, but it's music to my tears, right? So that was kind of the love, like there's the love song, and then of course there's the let's burn the house down side of things, and then of course then there's the you know there.
Hmm.
So just in general, we as musicians have to be quite versatile. But I was at a conference with, and I was listening to a gentleman called Josh. His name is Josh Sahunta, and he was talking about when you're writing for shows and stuff like that. um it's There are songs that you write that are for you as an artist, and then there are songs that you write that are more specifically for something, for a purpose, right? And so sometimes when we write a song, it can be like the most off the wall. Maybe it's not even a country song, maybe it's a pop song, or who knows what. But sometimes you just write it just because it's a great song, and it gets kind of set to the shelf, or you record it and kind of make it into your way. But I don't think that there's ever a time where, if you're feeling something, you write about it. And sometimes we just write songs for ourselves, right? Just write a song just for my heart, and not that it's ever going to be heard by anybody else other than me.
But what if they do? What if these songs you write for yourself suddenly they get out and other people are singing them? I mean, okay, so this is kind of interesting, but you know the Elton John song "Goodbye Norma Jean"? Remember that one? And
Mm-hmm.
then when Princess Diana died, it was
Mm-hmm.
one that he wrote for Diana, but it's the same tune. Do you
Yes.
think you think it's appropriate for a musician to, let's say you take one of your songs, Brenda, for instance, and then you change it and put Catherine in there?
Like if somebody else were to change it and put Catherine, or if I changed it and put Catherine
Well,
in.
okay, let's. Someone else did that. They decided, well, this is not about Brenda. This is about Catherine. You know.
Right. I would be like, cool, where's my royalties?
Good answer.
Like as long as I'm getting paid, you can do whatever the heck you want, right? So
Yeah,
as long as it's done appropriately in the back end side of things, like my gosh, you can take whatever you want and spin it and do whatever the heck you
mm,
want, right? So
yeah.
yeah,
So did
I
you go?
mean, I'm totally cool with other people taking my music and playing it, right? If you know, if you listen to a song and you're like, man, that is such a good song, I want to play it at my next gig, like give her.
You imagine if Weird Al Yankovic took your song "One Dive Bar" and made a parody out of it? What would he call it?
I don't know what he would call it, but I would be 1,000% behind that. So Al, if you're listening, go ahead. Because it's really exposure, right? And I mean, if somebody else thinks something of something that you've done and they've connected to it in a way that is so profound that they want to, do something with it, like that's amazing, right? And I think that that's one of the cool things about being a songwriter is that a lot of times you go in and write a song having a clear vision of how you want it to be, but somebody else will kind of step in and be like, hey, wait a minute, we could actually do something really amazing with this if we, up the tempo or whatever the case may be, change it however they wanted to change it. But it also broadens your horizon and opens your mind a little bit, because I do think that sometimes we can be a little bit narrow minded and narrow sighted when it comes to stuff like that, because it's like, this needs to be exactly this way, this is how I thought of it in my head, and it needs to be this way. And then it's always good to have somebody else say like, hey, what about this, right?
So you work in a salon or you own a salon. How do you balance your music career with your personal life and family and the salon? How do you deal with your mental health?
So I will say there's no such thing as balance, and I'll stand on a pedestal and talk about this too. There is no such thing as balance. We all of the things that we deal with, I feel like we're just doing a juggling act. And sometimes when we're doing that juggling act, we have to recognize that sometimes you got to set a ball down for a minute, so that you can focus on other things that you're juggling. And it's not setting that ball down because it's not important, but it's just setting it down for a moment and recognizing that I will come back, and maybe the next time that I'm juggling, I'll set something else down and pick that one up, right? So, work balance, family balance, home life, music, it's all messed up. And there's no such thing as balance. We're all screwed. But I do think that, like, that making that decision, and saying like, okay, I need to set my family aside for a minute, because I've got a full day at the salon, and then I'm playing a big gig this weekend, so I cannot, I can't do all of the things that I want to do with my kids or my husband. But they understand as well that when I'm done all of that, then all of my attention is on them, right? Or even taking time, like you mentioned about mental health. I think that is something that, music for me is my therapy. So writing songs, playing music, and it doesn't even have to, like I said, I could write a song that's just for me and that's therapy for me, and maybe nobody will ever hear it, and that's totally fine, because I wrote it as a release for myself. But I do also think that, like, it is also very important, if you feel the need that to take that moment to find somebody to talk to, whether it is a therapist or just like your best friend or your mom or your dad or whatever the case may be, finding somebody that you can chat with and be open and honest about all of your struggles or your wins, because we don't celebrate our wins near enough. We are the first to say, like, when and I'm guilty of doing this myself, when somebody says, oh, congratulations on your award, and it's like, yeah, yeah, but, or yeah, thanks, I didn't think that I deserved it. We are the first to totally, like, kibosh all of the good praises that other people are desperately trying to give us. We're the first to say, yeah, yeah, it was okay. I think I did okay, right? And so taking that moment to celebrate all of the things that you have done, and and just sit with that, and not be like, oh man, I could have done better. Like, I know I did.
Uh-oh. Oh, your phone. I know. I thought maybe you ran out of battery power or something.
No, I think I still have lots. I
Okay,
still
I
got
don't know.
36%.
That's weird.
That is so weird. No, I'm still here, I promise.
Cool. Do you remember what you just suddenly were cut out before finishing? You remember what you were talking about?
No.
Ah, fine, I'm gone. No, just kidding. Um, so what has been the
Oh,
most
so we were talking
rewarding?
about celebrating our wins. That's what
Yeah,
we were
go
talking
ahead.
about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
finish that.
So just making sure that you celebrate your win, because we are always the first to knock ourselves down or minimize the things that we have done that are quite meaningful.
Yeah. What do you think is the most rewarding moment of your music career so far? Like, who are your greatest cheerleaders right now?
Um, well, it's kind of funny. My kids, for sure, are like, they're just so cool. My son is my little percussion man, and I think that eventually, if he so chooses, I will buy him a set of drums, because he keeps the beat very well. Um, but it definitely, I mean, my entire family, they're just amazing. My mom and my dad come to all of my shows, and even though my dad isn't playing for me anymore, they still come.
Mhm.
And my husband supports me in ways that maybe aren't in the public, because he is not a in public kind of guy. But he supports me in the way that I don't ever worry about leaving, right? Because there is always, he will always make sure that our kids are fine. I don't have to worry about getting a babysitter. I don't have to worry about that. I can leave knowing full well that if they need to have baths, they'll have baths. If they it's supper time, they'll have had supper, right? And then in any other way that he can support me that's behind the scenes, he is always the first to be there. And I think that that's very important, because we everybody has different roles in our lives, and sometimes I've had people that have said, like, why doesn't your husband come to your shows? Like, he must not support you. And it's like, oh no, he supports me. He just supports me in a way that you don't see, right? And I think that it's important to talk about stuff like that, because we have so many people that are behind the scenes cheering you on, that aren't always in front row of every show, right? And the fact that I can leave and not worry about my kids is the most support that I could ever ask for, right?
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad that your family, it's like your husband's going, hey, shut that music off. I hate it.
Right.
Yeah, I know. Um, yeah. So, Shalaine, what has been happening since the last time we spoke? Last, I think it was November, so at least
Yep.
6 months. So, what has been happening in your nice little life musically?
Musically, so I had my release of One Dive Bar. I've got another one on the way that will be coming out. It's called The Devil Is Mine. And I've just been, doing a little bit of writing. I think that songwriting for me, if you force it, I'm gonna use a really dirty analogy. Okay, are you ready? It's like a fart. If you push too hard, it'll be shit.
Okay.
So, what I mean is that you can't force it, right? So, sometimes when you force things, it doesn't turn out very, very well, right? So, there are lots of people who will write 100 songs, right, in a year, or whatever their goal may be, and they just write. And I can't do that.
Mm,
I'm not somebody that'll sit down every night and write a song. I write when the desire or the inspiration hits me, then that's
mm.
when I write a song. So I don't necessarily, I can't say I've been writing all winter, right? Because I have not. But that's one of those, like, juggling balls that I've set the songwriting down for a minute, and then kind of focused more on family or developing. Like, as a band, we've developed a really good we have really good vibes, right? And I think that that's something that with practice that comes together. So we've just got a whole summer full of music. Every weekend pretty much is stack full of something, something
Yeah.
musical. Maybe a few weekends are a little bit overwhelming for me, but we'll make it through. And then yeah, and then in September we'll be recording some more music. I've got a few songs on the go that I am really excited to get to record and see kind of how they develop in the production side of things.
So that's great to hear. I'm so glad that things are working out for you and your family's fine, your son is fine, helping you out.
Hmm.
So you said you own a salon. Are they like, I'm gonna ask you this, and don't get upset with me, but people coming to your salon because they think you're some, singer-songwriter, famous.
I mean, I've been doing hair for 15 years, so I have built a clientele
Mm,
that that loves me, and but they all know that I've played music, right? They all know that side of me as well, and I have quite a few there saying like, oh, when are you leaving us for good? I'm like, I'm never leaving you for good. Like I'll always come back, right?
mhm.
But definitely nobody has come in and been like, "Oh my gosh, you're the famous singer," right? Not nobody's been like that. But I
Yeah.
also think like sometimes I downplayed a little bit too. Like I had a lady in the other day, and we were booking an appointment for her, and something about music had popped up, and she's like, "Oh, do you play music?" I'm like, "Yeah, I play a little bit." Right? Because I just like it, yeah, I do play a little bit for sure.
That's true. So, what are some of your favorite art? Well, I mean, I don't know if they've changed or not, but what are some of your favorite artists or bands that you look up to currently?
I currently, I mean, I'll always be an 80s and 90s and 2000s baby. I just that era of music it was trailblazing for us just in general. So I love watching, when Garth Brooks, when he was in his prime, and he's still amazing for sure, but before he took his hiatus, his shows that he did were amazing, and they were so full of energy, and he's running around and doing all of this stuff, and so you see that, and so it's like I always Garth Brooks is always my number one. But then you kind of enter into the women's side of things, and Trish Yearwood and Jody Messina and Terry Clark, who's Canadian, and Carolyn Dawn Johnson, who's also Canadian, Alison Krauss, Martina McBride. We always want to kind of look at the past, and kind of take what they have done well, and then try and reimagine it into something that I can do well, that's similar to them. I think that this era of musicians that are current now, Kelsey Ballerini and Carly Pierce, they are amazing storytellers. Ingrid Andress also is an amazing storyteller, and I think that the basis of country music is telling stories, right? And so I think that we have some absolutely amazing musicians and songwriters that are doing a bang up job of that. Chris Stapleton, like
Mm.
just listening to him, catching him on the radio, it just kind of, you have to stop and listen, right? And so I think that we have some amazing storytellers right now, for sure.
Yeah. If you listen to your music 5 years ago and you listen to music now, do you see a difference and
No.
evolution?
I don't listen to my music 5 years ago.
Mm.
I actually, you know what? It's actually really important to do that and do that self reflection, because we all start somewhere. And 5 years
Mhm.
ago, I had hoped that I would be here, right?
Mhm.
So it is important. I don't know if you know. There's a lady down in Texas. Her name is Rachel Hollis, and she's a
Mm.
motivational speaker,
Wow.
and so she'll talk all the time. When she first started speaking, she started speaking at seniors homes, and she was like, it was awful. I had my cards in front of me, and I was fumbling on my words, and all of these things that made her not a very great public speaker, motivational speaker. And the fact that she has gone from there to where she is now is it's absolutely phenomenal. But she always talks about how important it is to stay humble, right? Because we all start somewhere. And so yeah, so that listening to the music that I made 5 years ago, it's still special, right? Because that's where we started, right? And so you always have to remember where you started.
Oh yeah. Well, where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
I don't know. Who knows, right? I mean, so last year at the very end of 2024, I got to play a stadium show, and I got
Mm,
to play for 12,000 people and at
wow.
an intermission for a hockey game. And it was
Nice.
at Rogers Place. So the big one that like the Edmonton Oilers play at. And if you would have told me at the beginning of 2024 that I was going to get to play for 12,000 people and my face will be on the jumbotron and and whatever, I would have laughed and said like, yeah, right, that's like a 20-year goal, right? To get to be on that stage. And at the end of 2024, it happened. So I never want to. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know where the next year is going to take me. Because sometimes you go places that you never thought that would have been in your cards, and you meet people that are so far along in their journey that you think like, oh, they're never going to talk to me, and then there they go and take you under their wing and show you these absolutely phenomenal things that you never thought were possible. So where does this year or 5 years? I have no idea. I'm just excited to continue. Hopefully I'll still be
Wow.
able to make music in 5 years, right?
Wow. 12,000 people. Uh,
Yeah.
Elaine, I gotta ask you, how do you prepare for your live performance? What is the first thing you do? You can't just suddenly, oh, 1 minute to go, grab your guitar and go out. There must be some like an hour or two you have to prepare because you don't want to go out and go. The next song I'm going to be singing is called.
All right.
No, I no
Yeah.
disrespect, but
No,
yeah.
no.
How would you prepare for it? Like,
I mean, the joyous thing about there being a radio everywhere is that I'm forever singing, so my voice is always ready to go. I do have a few vocal warm ups. If I'm driving to a gig, I'll do play it on my iTunes and like do my along while I'm
oh yeah.
driving, which I'm
Mhm.
sure looks ridiculous as I'm like but for the most part, it doesn't take me long to get hyped up to go play a gig. And honestly, like if somebody came up and wherever I was at and there was a guitar on the wall and they said, "Hey, could you play us a song?" I would be like, "Absolutely," right? So
Mm.
it doesn't matter whether it's one person or 12,000 people. I know that a lot of people that I've chatted to about that, they would be like, "Oh, I would be so nervous to play in front of all of those people," and it's like, there's no nerves. It's all in the excitement, right? So whether you mess up in front of one person or mess up in front of 12,000 people, that's where the practice comes in, and that's where that maturity of rolling with it. That's where that kind of comes in. It was funny. I had my guitar. I had a guitarist friend that came and played with me on that gig,
Wow.
and he played my songs so fast, and so I couldn't even like play along with myself because it was just so fast that he played it. But
Wow.
nobody would have known had I not said anything. Like you wouldn't know, right? So it's so fun, and the lots of people get stage fright, and I don't get stage fright. Where my issue or where my butterflies come from is it's a fear of not doing it, right? I would be way more upset with myself had I not done it than doing it, and putting yourself out there. So
I have a do not know story. The first time I sang was in a church. This was some years ago, and the girl I was seeing at that point, she had a recital because she was a big music teacher, and so they were all children, like 12, 14, 7 year olds. You imagine
Mhm.
a 13-year-old could not show up that night, and she calls me, a 33-year-old at that time, years ago. So you have all these kids, and you have this 33-year-old. I'm like, oh, I feel really awkward here. I felt like I just like that movie Elf. Remember when Buddy, this big tall elf, and you got all these kids around and kind of funny.
Yeah.
And so the song I sang was a song called "I Can See," which is a Christian artist. And see, people don't know the song. You're thinking everyone knows the song. So I I kind of learned it for a whole week or two. I sang it. I knew both first and the second chorus, and I forgot it. I forgot the
Uh,
second bit of lyrics. And people came up to me and said, "Yeah, that was good, whatever." Instead of me saying thank you very much, I really appreciate it, I went, "Yeah, I screwed up here and I forgot this, just like shut up,
and
Chris.
that
They
and
don't
that's
know."
that's celebrating, right? You just say thank you. No, and we're quick to
Yeah.
say like, oh yeah, no, but I messed up.
Are there certain messages that you want people to take? Like what kind of messages you hope to convey through your music?
I mean, I'm always a lover of connection. And so I think that the most important thing that I want people to know is that, like, whatever you're feeling, there is always a song somewhere about it, right? And whether it's happiness, sadness, anger, if you're mad that your boyfriend cheated on you or whatever, there are lots of songs about that. And, and as you had said before, music is healing. So it definitely is so important to remember that there is always, whatever you're feeling, there's always somebody that relates to it. And sometimes when you sing a song and somebody comes up afterwards and tells you a story of how they relate to the music, that it's so powerful and so magic just to get to have that conversation. So I think that the most important thing that I want everybody to remember is that no matter what you're feeling, there's always going to be somebody that cares. And sometimes it can be sad feelings, frustrated feelings, or whatever the case may be. Somebody cares, and I think that that is such an important thing to remember.
Yeah, that's true, Shalane. I remember you were telling us earlier about during the pandemic when your husband's laid off and you fell into a
Mhm.
dark place. That
Mhm.
song, "As Strong as Your Daddy," that was inspired to you to write. How does that resonate with him today? How does that song play out today after so many years?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's still very important, right? It's still, I mean, thankfully he is well, and he is working and doing all of the things that he needs to do in order to be well. But it's still, the song still circulates around because it's still, men's mental health is never talked
Mm,
about enough, and so I love talking about just mental health just in general,
mhm,
because there are so many people that are struggling, and I do think that right now there's a heck of a lot more people that are struggling, and it's so
mm,
crazy um, that there's so many people that just don't feel like they're that anybody cares. And so yeah, that the As Strong as Your Daddy, um it's just, it just is such a great reminder that you guys don't have to be strong, you don't have to
yeah,
hide, you don't have to do anything. If you feel something, you're allowed to feel it, you're allowed to cry, you're allowed to
yeah.
whatever, be angry, whatever emotion you're feeling, like it's totally okay. And that stigma that's around men's mental health needs to be abolished very, very quickly.
Yeah, that song "As Strong as Your Daddy" is a love song to your son about men's mental illness. And a response from friends, family, and Facebook inspired you to keep writing. If that never happened, that song never existed, would you still be writing or would you not be writing?
Who knows, right? It's who knows. I mean, because music has been so deeply rooted in my soul and in my heart, there would have been something that would have happened that would have led to me pursuing it for sure.
Mm,
But I definitely think that right now is, for me, it's just such a great time to pursue it because I do have the flexibility in my life
mm,
to have an established salon, so I don't have to be pounding the pavement, trying to build that up, because it is built up itself. So timing is everything. And if I would have, maybe if I would have pursued it 10 or 15 years ago, we would be in a totally different position than we are in today. But it's so easy to look back and go like, oh, I wish I would have done this, I wish I would have done that.
Yeah.
But wishes
But your
are for
son,
whales.
but your son's okay. Everything's okay with
Oh
him.
yeah,
How was
yeah, everybody's
how,
great. Yeah,
how
absolutely.
is he getting help?
My husband.
No, your son, your husband. How are they
Oh,
getting help?
my son was fine. It was kind of like I just my son was never, he was never depressed in any way, shape, or form. He was never struggling. But I recognized that that generation needs to know that it's okay, right? So I don't think I didn't necessarily write it um so that my son could be well, but I wrote it so that all of the sons of the world know that it's okay, right? And so it was kind of just a generalized reminder that in 10 or 20 years, if somebody plays that song, I'm proud of it, right?
Wow, Shalaine, you're such an inspiration. Look at you. Wow. It's so good to see you. I'm so happy that I was able to have you on again. And
Absolutely.
you're actually, I think you're the first in amongst my actually I'm going to tell you something. I'm celebrating my 300 episode.
Woohoo!
300
That's
episode.
amazing.
So I'm at,
Congratulations.
well, not yet because I'm at episode 298, but I know
That's
who
all
the
right.
next.
I'll be 298.
But yeah, so it's kind of wonderful to hear what's been going on with you for the last 6 months, and glad
Hmm.
everything's working out. I think you said it was another album coming out pretty soon, besides Live from the Grand
Another
Tavern.
EP, just an EP.
Are you going to be working with Bob Donaldson again on any of these?
Probably.
Yes, I love it.
Absolutely.
I love it. So everyone, all of Shalaine Stebner will, all her information will be linked down below in the show notes, and also I'll link her first episode, which is amazing as
Mm.
well.
Yes, yes,
And
that's a good one.
your new single is "The Devil Is Mine." No, "Devil Is Yours,"
So
not
that one
mine.
is the one that's going to be coming out, and it's not out yet. We don't have a date for that one yet, but it'll creep up on us. But
Let me know so I can
one
add it
guy's
to.
left.
Yeah, let me know so I can add it.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so any so do you see that the country music scene will evolve in the next few years? Do you think it'll be different because of the advent of AI and all that?
I think that AI is a very unique tool, and I think that if we, unfortunately, a lot of people look at it as a threat,
Hmm.
um, because they're like, oh, like AI can't write country music and whatever, or can't write music, can't do this and can't do that. But I think it's technology is forever evolving,
Hmm.
and as long as we use it correctly and use it properly, it can be the most amazing
Hmm.
assistance to whatever we've got going on, right? I do find that I've started using AI a little bit more,
Hmm.
and chat GPT, I think, is what I like to use. But it's really great. You can put in. So I needed word summary of one of my songs. And so on Chat GPT, I said, I need a 200-word summary of this song, and then put the lyrics to my song, and then it did it for me, right?
Really? Wow.
Yeah, it was so very well written, right? And so maybe somebody would think that I'm cheating. I don't know. But I think that these are tools that we have, and so why not use them, right? Why not? If you don't use them, you're going to be left in the dust, right?
That's true, Shalane. I really believe that. Uh, so, what advice would you give to aspiring musicians who are just starting out?
Hmm. So I think that the biggest thing that everybody needs to remember, just in general, is that nobody ever is going to come into the room and say, hey, does anybody want to, start playing music? Does anybody want to do this? You have to advocate for yourself. You have to seek out your own opportunities, because it's like they don't knock on the door every day.
Hmm.
But if you ask somebody, then even if you were so one of my first collab gigs that I did was with Bob Donaldson, and he was playing in a bar, and I did not know him from a hole in the wall, but I messaged him and I was like, hey, you're playing at this bar, can I open for you? And he was like, sure. And then so then from there, our friendship has just exploded, and
Hmm.
he's amazing. But if I had not reached out to him and said, hey, I want to open for you, I don't want any money for it, I just literally just want the stage, and I want to make all of your fans my fans as well, right? And if I hadn't have done that, then I maybe would not have been able to do some cool things with him, right? So yeah, so I think that it's so important to just, if it's in your heart and you want to do it, the only person that's holding you back is yourself. So,
Hmm.
kind of tuck that little ego and that pride down, and start asking, right? And
Yeah,
start doing.
you're right. You're right. What's stopping me? The thing with the podcast is that I took an effective communications course back in the summer of 2021.
Hmm.
And I said, when are you going to use that? Because we have to be social distancing. We have to be 6 feet away from people. You can't have more than, what, 10, 20 or 30 people in the same room.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's useless. And so I thought, why don't I start a podcast? So I started a
Yeah.
podcast, and one episode I enjoyed it so much. Now I'm at 297 right now. I love it.
That's crazy. That's amazing.
So all I have to do is, like, I want to get into singing. I want to get into songwriting.
Yeah.
I want to write a film, maybe not a musical, but a film, because I have an idea what it's
Hmm.
about. It's got music in it. It's about music, and all I have to do is just take that step. I did that
Yeah.
with the podcast. It's been 4 years. This October, it's going to be 4 years.
Yeah.
So why can't I do that with something else? A step forward.
Absolutely.
So there must be something wrong that I do something. And not only that, when I first started podcasts, I didn't even like podcasts. I used to, whenever I got a new iPhone, I would delete that Apple Podcast app. And now it's like, where is it? Where is it? Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
right.
I love it. So I want to write a film. I
Yeah.
want to write music. I want to get my 4 songs published. I want to get somebody rewrite them, because some of them are pretty immature actually. So I want to do all these things. I'm going to start performing again. And yeah, I mean, what's wrong with me?
Well, my advice for you is pick one thing first. One
Okay.
thing at a time, right? Don't try to do everything. Don't start writing your screenplay and start writing music and do this and do that and do that, because you're going to be so overwhelmed and flustered, right? So pick one thing and do it well, and then add another thing to it, right? So if you want to start singing and playing, and like, I don't know if you want to start gigging, or if you're wanting to just play in church, or whatever, wherever your heart tells you that you want to do, like, pick one of those things. I mean, writing a screenplay is absolutely phenomenal.
Hmm.
But there are so many other things that go along with it. Like, if you want to have music in it, then you have to make sure that you can write music, right? And even like with your 4 songs that you have, I mean, that's, put it out. I mean, you have 297 friends that you've chatted with, that are probably, a lot of them are musicians, so you have people that would be willing to collaborate with you. So, it's just a matter of picking up your boots and saying, like, this is what I want to do. Pick one thing at a time and do it well.
Yeah. So I have this. I have this story. It's about a 16-year-old college student. She's an android, but nobody knows she's an android. She don't know where she comes from, and she's got a pet squirrel.
Aww.
Her name is Maya. I had chat. Well, actually, I used an AI to make that,
Yep.
and she's got an iPhone in her hand, and the iPhone opens up portals to different types of worlds. and she
Mm.
has that pet squirrel. So, and I have all these other ideas in my head about different stories and about dramas. I want to get like a series going on another YouTube channel of just little short films and stuff, and get my
Mm-hmm.
actors, my writers, and my just I want to do auditions. I want to sit there and watch people, see if they're right for the part, whatever. I want to do
Mm-hmm.
that. I want to do that, and the podcast is good. I'm going to keep that up,
Yeah.
but I want I want to do other things. I don't know what's stopping me. Maybe it's just because I feel that I've put so much energy in this 4 years as a podcast, over 300 episodes, almost 300 episodes. If I have strength to start maybe writing a screenplay or something, it's
Mm-hmm.
just you
I
know,
think that one of the biggest things that holds us back is fear, right? And we're
yeah,
we're afraid of being rejected. What if I write a song and somebody doesn't like it? What if you write the screenplay and or what if you hold auditions and nobody shows up? How embarrassing, right? But that's the things that we say to ourselves, but it's not reality, but it's just like the reality that we tell ourselves in our brain. And I think that a lot of the times that we when we make decisions to not do something, it's just the fear of rejection.
that's true. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Shalaine. Really appreciate you being back on
You're
the
welcome.
platform. Everyone, all our music and everything, as I mentioned. Did I say that already? I think I already said that already. Am I
Yeah,
repeating myself? Okay.
you are, but that's all right. We can hear it again.
Everything related to Shalaine Stebner will be down there, including her banking information.
Yeah.
No,
Venmo, you can send me
Venmo.
money. Zelle, e-transfer, I'll take it all.
And make sure that she gets some new fans and subscribe to her channel and follow
Yeah,
her. And she's
absolutely.
wonderful. She's amazing. Okay, Shalaine, just wait right there. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. See you, Shalaine.
Thank you.
Bye.